What's up, guys? Welcome back to Young, Hot, and Divorced. Today, I wanted to talk about something that I feel very strongly about, given that I spend most of my time sharing myself online and not only just myself, but pretty intimate details about my personal relationships that I've been through, relationships that I'm currently in, relationships that I reflect on. It's definitely like I put my entire life out there. And just because I do so doesn't mean that I'm actually sharing what I'm going through in real time. I am human just like everybody else, and I choose to share what I want to share. But I really do keep a lot private because there is so much more to the story that would honestly be damaging to share to me, to my ex partners, to potentially my kids. And that's never been the goal of this podcast. So I keep things pretty close to the heart, but also I have experienced something lately that I haven't had a chance to experience since starting this podcast. And I'm just going to go out and say it because there's no dilly dallying around this. And I want to get into today's episode, which really inspired this. So, a couple of weeks ago, my boyfriend, the cop, and I decided to end our relationship after about 6 months. I know people say this all the time, but it is true that we split really amicably. We simply weren't aligned. And I think that that's what it comes down to. And I respect him so much and I love his daughter. And none of that will change. I think that I'm not really comfortable sharing the details of how we're going to work going forward, but I'm comfortable to say that we are not disappearing from each other's lives completely. Our children will remain friends, and I think that we'll be able to continue a relationship, not romantically, but truly as friends and parents of children who love each other. So I think that that's a really beautiful thing. This is honestly the first breakup that I have had since my second divorce. And that means that it's also been my first relationship post divorce. And I feel actually really good about how this relationship went, how it ended, what I learned from it. And I'm really proud of myself for sharing it because that takes a lot of courage to put your real life out there in the hopes that you're helping somebody and connecting with people, but you're also exposing yourself to a lot. And recently, I have noticed a couple of the girls that I follow on social media going through something very similar. So that's what today's episode is really about. I absolutely had to drop the bomb that I'm going through this as well, but I want to share what I've learned from the girls that I've been watching on social media going through something really similar as well. So the first person I want to talk about is Batsheva Haart. Her family had a Netflix show called My Unorthodox Life, and she's pretty much a blogger and public figure and really puts her dating life out there. So Batsheva is absolutely part of the Young, Hot, and Divorced crew. She's one of the youngest divorcees that I can think of. Watch her go through this post-divorce journey at this early phase stage is really inspiring. She spends a lot of time in Miami, and I've definitely seen her out and about in Miami, and Miami is not an easy place to date in. So I give her a lot of kudos for that. And she recently shared that she was dating this guy who she called Mr. Martini, similar to how I have an alias for the cop. The fact that she chose not to share his name, I totally understand why. And I kind of agree with that. Also, until like these guys are not just chapters in our lives, it's like, you got to give them a nickname. Don't you do that like with your friends? That's how they know the guys in my world. They don't know them by their first names. They know by like whatever alias I've given them. So Batsheva was dating Mr. Martini. And preface before I get into this, I am not, what are they called? Like a pop culture commentator or here to judge anybody's life. I think like completely the opposite. What I'm trying to portray here is that I have found other role models online who are going through similar things. And I want to share that with you guys. So if you're going through something similar, you can follow them on their journey as well. So Batsheva was dating Mr. Martini and she posted him publicly. She hard launched him. She soft launched him and hard launched him, but like he was clearly her partner and she was talking about it. And she really opened up when she felt like she was ready to do so. And as soon as she did, I was like, yay, like just cheering on another girl from the sidelines because I know that that takes a lot. You post somebody and you let the entire world know that you're with somebody. And if and when that ends, you have to walk that whole thing back in some sort of way, shape, or form. And however everybody decides to do that is different. And there's really no right or wrong answer. So she shared that her and Mr. Martini didn't end up working out. And it sounds very similar to my story in that they just weren't aligned, or that's just like what she chose to share and say. And we have to all respect that because just like everybody else, she's a human being and she's entitled to share what she wants to share and entitled to keep private what she wants to keep private. And I really appreciate her sharing. It makes me feel less alone. And that's my goal in all of this as well. So she let us all know that Mr. Martini and her didn't work, but she also then focused on herself. So she immediately got into this like reset plan. And that was also really inspiring to me because I think that after every breakup you go through, you could, should, and probably do go through some sort of self reset phase. For me, and similarly to her, it's like self care, working out, prioritizing things that make you happy, spending time with people that you love and that are close to you and make you feel good. And I think everybody needs that kind of reset in their life. Honestly, I'm jealous because she doesn't have kids and she really gets to travel and focus on taking care of herself. And that's something that I personally don't have the luxury to do, but I do try to do that as much as possible. So post divorce, I've got post divorce. Post this breakup, I have gotten back into yoga and I've been spending a lot of time with friends that I haven't seen since like childhood and reconnecting with them. And those things have brought me so much joy and make moving on from this chapter of my life so much easier because I'm not only giving myself the emotional support that I need, but I'm giving my body the physical support that it needs. And I am not nailing this every single day. Like mad props to Batsheva because she like has these 7-day resets and really sticks to it. And I wish I was that consistent, but I'm not. I also think that if I was in Miami right now, I would probably be doing more of this just because it feels like it's like the wellness capital of the world. And it's so easy to just bop into these places and spend your day taking care of yourself. There's also so much to do in Miami, and that like you can go have so many fun adventures, boat day, going out to dinners, like there's always something to do. So it's really easy to take your mind off of these things and focus on yourself. But here in suburbia, I am finding it a little challenging to find these activities or things to do or whatever it may be that make me feel better. So right now I'm really leaning into this podcast. I've seen so much success with it, which is super encouraging to keep going. Like I always say, every single one of your messages means the world to me. And if you're this far into the episode and you're enjoying it, please make sure that you subscribe, like, comment, follow wherever you're watching this. It honestly helps me so much, and your support always means the world to me. So please do that if you can and want to support this show. Another person who ended their engagement more recently is Danielle Bernstein from We Were What. And I started getting served a lot of content on this from like Page Six and all of these TikTok people who have their own opinion on what happened in her relationship. And she put out a very public statement saying that, they just decided to split ways and similarly, like, didn't agree or didn't align on the future. And she also mentioned in a longer post that she plans on keeping this private. And she did take some time to keep it private prior to releasing it publicly. And the entire internet has been speculating on what the cause of her breakup is. And that's probably because she was so public in posting her relationship and all of the things that were so beautiful about it. They were building this new home together. They had this engagement party that was unlike anything I have ever seen in my life. I mean, everything was beautiful. The engagement shoot, so beautiful. I know that a lot of people say they look at this stuff and they're like, oh, that's just Instagram, and what's happening behind the scenes is totally different. And that can be true. That cannot be true. Regardless, it was a beautiful celebration of love. And she chose to share that publicly, knowing that if it doesn't work out, she's going to have to let people know in some way, shape, or form. She definitely took a different approach to this in that she's been public but private. And she mentioned that she doesn't owe anybody any sort of explanation. And that's true. And I also thought that, she doesn't owe anybody any sort of explanation right now, but she completely has the right to change her mind. When I was going through my first and second divorce, I wasn't public about it. And not that I'm an influencer or some sort of public figure, but even when people would just like ask me why I got divorced, it would take me a while to open up and tell them the truth. And at some point, I did decide that I was ready to share. And likewise, she is completely entitled to making that change if and whenever she decides to. She's now posting really regular content, and I think that her vulnerability has only made her content seem more genuine. And I think that that's something that goes along with sharing experiences like this. I think that it makes her seem more human. This girl who has, quote unquote, the perfect life, perfect hair, perfect new home, perfect business, whatever, it is. It gives her some down to earth and realness. And, she's not divorced, but I completely welcome her into this club. I think I've mentioned on previous episodes that I think that the absolute bravest thing to do is to call off an engagement after you've already got the ring, are planning a future together, have shared it with the world, have probably sent out invitations, celebrated it. People have sent you gifts and spent money. To be able to walk that back before making the choice to get married, I think is the bravest thing. I haven't personally felt that or go through that, but I've heard from people who are now divorced that they felt in that time that they shouldn't go through with it, but went through it anyways because they thought it would get better, or they felt the pressure from everybody in their life contributing to this wedding or this marriage, whatever it may have been, and wanting that future for them more than they wanted it for themselves. And they are divorced now. And mad props to them as well for leaving and not staying in it any longer that they did. But what I'm trying to say here is that I think that what both of these women did requires some serious balls and like some real bravery. And myself included, I know that I decided to share my relationship with the cop a little bit later than when it started. So it might seem like this breakup was very quick, but it wasn't. And it took us a couple of weeks to be unraveling the whole thing. And I didn't know if or when I would be comfortable sharing what I'm going through. What made me comfortable to share it was truly these two women, both Batsheva and Danielle, sharing their breakups publicly online. And just like everybody else, I think this world has become so connected via this social media reality. And I've shared many times that I was looking for role models to look up to while going through this situation. And I really didn't find many girls in their early 30s going through something similar. So watching them share truly gave me the courage to share this on my own. And I have already gotten some feedback on thoughts of my relationship. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I really don't care. If you want to share whatever you think about my relationship, you're more than welcome to. But I do think that as women who are sharing this, we are being really tough, really brave, really vulnerable. And before you make that comment, I think you should think about that for a second. It's so easy to hate on us and say, we jumped into things or we shared things too fast or we're going and dating guys with red flags all over the place or it was never going to work. It's so easy to say all of those things. But what might be a little harder is cheering somebody on. And I think that through social media, you can build relationships with people who are real people by cheering them on. And I'm not saying that if you genuinely don't believe in what we're doing, that you need to be nice, but I know personally, and I'm sure for these two girls as well, that every comment of support really means the world. And it's almost like having the bravery to see a girl in public, maybe like wearing jeans or having a handbag that you think is beautiful, and taking the time to stop them and compliment them. You might have no idea what they're going through, and that one little compliment might make their entire day. You have no idea what somebody else is going through. And to be able to bring a smile to somebody's face, especially if they're sharing their vulnerability publicly with you, is something so beautiful and is a way that you can connect with them or their story. And that's the whole point of sharing on social media. Round of applause to these girls who keep sharing and don't give up. And I don't know if you're able to see it like I'm able to see it, but there is so much beauty in their story post breakup. I mean, Batsheva is glowing and still sharing and still has hope and won't lower her standards. And I think that that's so inspiring for girls to look at. And Danielle is keep on keeping on with her business and building her forever home. And she's still excited for what the future holds. And I am as well. I am deciding to share my life publicly and sharing all of the good and all of the bad. But in doing so, there is always beauty in the unknown. What we all have in common is that there's always tomorrow, and you have no idea what that's going to bring. If you're going through a breakup of your own, privately, publicly, I really welcome you to find some people on social media who are going through something similar as well, so you can gain these tips and tricks and see that there's somebody who's going through the same thing that you are and just glowing up because of it. They're doing better than ever. They're still strong. They're resilient, and they're showing you that you can do it too with so much beauty, so much grace. I mean, let's be honest, Danielle Bernstein's hair has never looked frickin' better. And can we also talk about both of their abs? Like, Batsheva, Danielle, just keep focusing on your abs and your hair and your beautiful futures, because that is absolutely giving me some inspiration, and I'm sure others as well. Thank you guys for joining the YHD Club, whether you kind of meant to or not. You are now absolute members. And yeah, if you're watching this and you're like, I fit the YHD Club as well, please make sure you comment. I answer all of the comments and would love to connect with you. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Tori. This is Young, Hot, and Divorced, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.